Hi, I'm Celeste.
Hi, I'm Richard.
Hey, I'm Christy.
And I'm Tally.
We're the hosts of Unethical Podcast. Every episode, we take a humorous dive into a case study that poses an ethical question, like, should mentally ill murderers ever be released?
No.
When a victim consents to die, is it still a murder?
Yep.
And does someone telling someone to kill themselves make you culpable if they do?
Nah.
We discuss what the outcomes of these cases are and what they should be, with a unique guest host every episode, assuming someone is brave enough to join us.
Richard needs some more testosterone around here.
Nah, I think it's mostly coming from Celeste.
Girls are mean.
We will also explore the supernatural, the theoretical, and the conspiratorial. We'll talk about what's underground, what's above the sky, what's hiding in the dark, and what makes you see the light.
What about what's in your closet?
I want to believe. God damn, I love Dana Scully.
You need a minute?
Are you guys watching? Because that helps.
I wish I was a tree.
But when does a fun story become a dangerous influence? When is fiction actually fact?
The last time I checked, those words meant the opposite.
It doesn't matter. Our podcast is no holds barred, true crime, comedy, adult content, and definitely not for everybody.
But like most people aren't like can handle swear words and stuff, right? Am I right about that?
No.
No.
But if you, like us, have trauma-fueled coping mechanisms, join us each week and visit a destination you can't unvisit.
The dark side.
You can subscribe wherever you eat your podcasts to listen. Follow us on Instagram, where we post our teasers to guess what's coming next. And join us on Facebook to get involved in the conversation. Welcome to Unethical Podcast.
Hey, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is Locked in a Closet.
Join us as we tell each other stories of true crime, the paranormal, urban legends, and all things spooky. All right. Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Hello. Happy lockdown.
Yeah, I was going to say, welcome back to the residents of Ontario to lockdown number 3, where the rules are made up and our lives, I mean, the points don't matter.
Yeah, really. It's just, oh my God. I was having a hard time. I was like, okay, we were already in a lockdown and now we have a stay-at-home order. What is the difference? I don't understand.
It was like, and then there was like a
literally
emergency break, and
yeah, it was just like businesses. That's the only difference. Like, you still technically can gather with 5 people outside, but I mean, they don't want you to, but they didn't tell you that you can't. Like, it's just so stupid.
And like, I'm not against lockdowns. Like, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just against the fact that this is our 3rd one and people clearly are not getting the memo. And I'm not trying to say they don't work or they do work. I'm just saying it's not working.
No, what they're doing is not working. And everybody's just
Yeah.
getting more pissed off about it because it keeps happening. It's like, do it once, do it right, and then it'll be over. Like, come on now.
I'm so fed up with it, but I'm not going to go out and break the rules because I'm too much of a stickler. But if I'm fed up with it, the people who care less are just, they don't give a shit. They're going to do what they want to do.
Exactly. And like, they're not vaccinating us fast enough, so it's like,
not.
Okay, it's just gonna go on forever. Like, what's happening? I watched the press conference yesterday and he's like, yeah, we have so many vaccines like waiting, like people just need to do it. And it's like, okay, well, then open up the availability, because all these people want to get vaccinated but they can't because you aren't letting them.
Exactly.
Just open it up and then people will get vaccinated.
I saw an article yesterday about, I think it was specifically using Quebec numbers, but it was saying at least 5,000, was it more? 5,000 appointments were just either like no shows or empty.
Oh my
That's 5,000. And I think it was like over the weekend or something. That's 5,000 people that could have been vaccinated that wanted it.
They don't last very often. Sorry, I cut you off, but they don't
last.
But
they don't. Yeah.
You gotta get it. Oh my God.
And I think I saw in Ontario, like last week, there was 7,000 empty appointments. So that was appointments that no one had signed up for, and they were just empty. Like, okay, you know what? Let's open this up to the people who want it, because I would kill for it.
Exactly. Like, so
and then
many
let's
people.
convince the rest after, you know, let's
Yeah.
get that hive or like the herd immunity. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
just
sick of
insane.
it.
Yeah.
I think at this point, you know, I was all for vaccinating the elderly first because they were the highest risk.
Mhm.
And I think that we can continue, obviously, to work our way down. But like, let's start vaccinating the healthcare workers more. Let's start vaccinating the teachers. The retail workers, like these essential workers that are the young ones now.
Yeah.
Who want it, who need it. Like, let's move on. I think we need to pivot is what
Yeah.
is what's happening.
Yeah. Clearly, like, the original plan is not working out. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we should run it.
I know.
Just kidding.
Vote
Somebody would
for
ask me a
us.
question, I'd just cry about it and be like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I don't know.
Yeah. I would just give them away too much. Like, everyone,
Yeah.
you get a vaccine. You get a
Oprah. Look under your seats.
One of my friends said that at this point, just give it to me. I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, me too.
I know. It's just crazy. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
I feel like I've said that like every podcast. Like, hopefully soon it'll get better.
I feel like if you listen to this back, you'll just hear us get like more and more depressed as we
We're
go
just
on.
getting bitter about it now.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's weird. It almost feels like there will be no going back to normal. Like, we'll be in this weird post-apocalyptic world of
I know.
like quarantines and safe zones. And like, have you seen that movie What Happened to Monday?
No, but that was on my list. I wanted to watch that.
Watch it. It's really good.
It sounded really good. I think I saw it on TikTok or something. Somebody was talking about it, and I was like, "Ooh,
it's really good." It's not exactly like relevant to like a pandemic, but it's like got those vibes where literally it's like population control and like safe zones, and you have to have like wristbands and things to like get into certain places.
Oh, wow.
It's topical, and that's where I feel like we're kind of turning into.
Yeah. See, that I feel like would be kind of a nice change for me, because Michael and I have been watching, well, we watched Utopia like a while ago. Like, it was still during quarantine, but we watched that, and that's like about like disease and like quarantine and all this stuff. So that was a little bit close to home. And then what are we watching right now? The Stand on Amazon Prime.
Why does that sound so familiar?
Well,
I probably get ads for it all the time.
Probably, yeah. I think it like recently came out or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's also about like a huge pandemic that kills like most of the population, and it's like,
oh no,
okay, this is a lot.
I don't
it's a lot to watch this right now.
Yeah, at the beginning of the quarantine, like the Tiger King era of like quarantine, where, you know, we were all hopeful and had some of our soul left.
It'll be 2 weeks.
That movie Contagion, and it's from like 2011, so it's not new. It's like an older movie, but it's literally like, have you seen Contagion?
No, I don't think so.
It's like watching what's happening right now. They have, and the weirdest part, and I, like, spoiler alert for the ending, it like shows how this disease came about, and it came from like, I think, a bat in like a food market. And I was like, what the whole time I'm sitting there, and I was just like,
too close to home.
That's what's happening. Yeah. Or, you know, that's what they guess, but
yeah.
I had to sit in silence for a while for that movie, because even though it ends like good, like everyone gets a vaccine, blah blah blah, it was still just like, ooh.
Yeah,
it's like watching a 9/11 documentary like before it happened.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not into that. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Like, there's been a couple times watching The Stand where first of all, it's kind of disgusting. Like, everybody's like dying and puking everywhere, and they have like boogers all over their face. So I watched like the first couple episodes like through my hand, because I can't watch that. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
But like, everybody's dying, and like the people that are left, like, they just like make these like communities, and I'm like, oh my god, this can't be what it's like. Oh my god. But yeah, anyway, it's a good show.
It's a Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah, and like Whoopi Goldberg's in it. Like, there's a ton of famous people in it.
Oh, and the hot True Blood guy. The fuck is his name?
I know who you're talking about. He also
Alexander
played
Skarsgård.
Yeah. Michael and I just watched The Giver a couple weeks ago, because he had never seen it, and Alexander Skarsgård plays Jonas's dad in it.
Oh yeah.
So then we started watching this, and I was like, yeah, it's Jonas's dad. Michael's like, what? Like, how is that the same human?
I love Alexander Skarsgård. Yeah, he was like the best part of True Blood.
at the beginning of this, we had a little promo teaser trailer thing for another podcast.
Oh yeah, the Unethical podcast, which by the name you should know what it's going to be about. No, I'm just kidding. They're pretty funny. I was listening to their episodes this week, and there's a lot of them, but they all play off each other really well. Like it's great.
Yeah, I was listening to the Gypsy Road Blanchard episode this morning, and it was pretty good.
Which I love that story to begin with.
Oh my god, I know. I love. Oh, it's so good.
Did you know her Facebook posts are still up?
Really?
Yeah, like you can go search her name and they're still there. And I guess like I don't know if people are commenting on them now or something.
Yeah,
but
you'd think Facebook would delete that. They were like,
it literally said "ding dong, the bitch is dead" or whatever the fuck it said.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you just go take a little listen to them.
Yeah,
tell them we sent you.
Feel like crude humor. We're not crude enough, or. But yeah, they're good. They cover some pretty good true crime, and some local stuff. The last one I listened to was actually one in Toronto. So,
awesome.
So Canadian as well.
Nice. Very good. We love Canadians.
We do. Let's talk about ghosts.
Let's talk about ghosts.
Let's
so much better
about ghosts, babe. I think you're first this week.
I think so too. We are doing ghosts in Manitoba, believe it or not. Manitoba. It's a place. People people used to live there. Probably don't anymore because they're all ghosts now.
I know, I used to live there and I don't anymore.
Well, you're not a ghost yet, but who knows?
I mean, with this white complexion, you'd never guess.
Starting this week, we're just going to put all of the sources in the show notes. So if you're curious about anything, that's where they will be. So the first place that I did is called the Seven Oaks House Museum. Pretty similar to literally every other ghost story that we've done. Nobody likes to post any information online.
No.
So I did manage to like grab a couple of stories, but a lot of this is just going to go into the detail. I would highly recommend just checking out their website though, because they have a ton of information on it.
Oh, cool.
Because it's like really like historical, like it's like part of Parks Canada and stuff like that. So
oh wow,
yeah, so it's pretty great. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump right in.
Nice.
So Seven Oaks House is the oldest house remaining in Winnipeg. It was built in 1851 to 1853 for John and Mary Inkster, who were the heads of an influential Métis family in the Red River settlement. So John worked for the Hudson's Bay Company, but he quickly built his own farm and became a merchant. By the time the house was built, the Inksters were a very wealthy and powerful family in the area. Their daughter, who was nicknamed Maryk, I think is how you said, Marak, she ended up inheriting the house when her parents passed away. And she was a talented pianist who was never married and never had children. Love her.
That's living the dream.
When she died in 1912, she gave the family's homestead to the city of Winnipeg, who then turned it into the park / like museum that it is now.
Some people are too nice.
I know, isn't that crazy? But I mean, you're dead. No. You don't have any kids. Like
that's true.
The foundation of the house is like still the original one that's there, as far as I can tell, and it's made of stones that were stacked together, and then the log walls are held together with wood nails, and they're insulated with piles of bison fur. So by the standard of its time, it was like a huge mansion. And as always, we're going to put the pictures on Instagram of the house.
Did you say bison fur in between the logs?
Yeah.
As like insulation.
Like insulation. Which is
That's crazy.
Yeah. Just genius. They're so ahead of their times. So the Seven Oaks. Wow, I said that really weird. Seven Oaks. The Seven Oaks House. Yeah. I don't know where I'm from now.
It's another one of those theater moments.
Yeah. Definitely going to edit that one out because it just sounds stupid.
The Seven Oaks.
The Seven Oaks House. Oh my God. We should just do one episode where that's how we talk.
Yeah, and we don't like
we don't say mention it.
We don't mention it. We just all of a sudden have like really bad British accents.
People are like, what the fuck am I listening to?
Hello, I'm Ashley. That would be bad.
Yeah, that would be horrible. Oh my God.
All right, start over.
Yeah. The Seven Oaks house was also the site of the Battle of Seven Oaks, which, I mean, you could probably put two and two together with that one.
So creative.
Yeah. On June 19th, 1816, the bloodiest event in Manitoba's history took place right on the grounds of the Seven Oaks House. I saw a couple different reports, but anywhere between 20 and 22 people were murdered in a defeat for the Hudson's Bay Company. And most of the Red River settlement was destroyed because of it. So after that battle, the 1817 Peguis-Selkirk Treaty was signed, and this was the first treaty between settlers and Indigenous people in Western Canada, and it allowed the Red River settlement to be rebuilt. So it's kind of cool.
I feel bad that I feel like I should know more about this because you would never guess, but I'm actually Métis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like one of those people that's like, I'm a quarter.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, whatever the math is. Like my grandfather was full Métis.
Okay.
So I'm whatever the math works out. And that side of my family is all from Manitoba. And
so this is like your history, kind of.
And I don't know anything about it. I mean, in school, because I have status, I was like taken away. That sounds so bad, but I was like put into these like classes once a month or whatever to like learn more about like my heritage and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Why don't they do that for every kid though? I feel like
I know
that kind of history is the history that we should know.
I know. And it was so fascinating. I loved it because I would go to like these powwows and stuff too. But like I'm also like, because of like the rest of my family, I'm so white, like blonde haired, green eyed, freckled white. And I don't look like I belong. And I always felt uncomfortable and kind of like was not discriminated against, but like no one would really talk to me because they're like, you're not Métis. Like, what are you doing here? And I'm just like, that is the definition of Métis.
Yeah. I have another friend too that like she has status and she's like blonde, blue eyes.
Yeah.
Would never know. But yeah. That's cool. I didn't know that. Look at us learning about each other. Well, you're not learning about me. You learn that I can't pronounce shit.
You like funny accents? Yeah. Yeah, I don't talk about it. Not that I'm ashamed about it. It's just I don't feel like I fit into it or that I really celebrate it too much. So it's like I don't usually claim it. Like, you know.
But it's important though. Like it's part of your history.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So now we're gonna get into the ghosties of this little place. So it's known that between at least 11 or 12 people have lost their lives at the Seven Oaks house. So not
like
including the battle. Yeah, not including the battle.
Holy shit.
So I think this was just like an old timey thing, but they always held the funerals inside the house, like in the parlor or the living room of the house. So William McMurray died by choking on his food at the dinner table, and he was like surrounded by his family. So that's kind of sad.
Did nobody notice?
I think they did, but they just couldn't. Like, I guess he was like face down in his plate.
Oh,
like I don't know if they even tried or anything, but anyway,
I would hope so. Maybe not, or maybe they did, and it just. If you don't know how to do the Heimlich, you don't know how to do the Heimlich.
I'm terrified because I don't know how to do the Heimlich. And like one time Michael had to do it. He was home alone. He did it on himself. And I'm like, okay, if that were me, I would be dead. Like, I don't know how to save myself.
Okay, another tangent, but it's a funny story and it's related.
Okay.
I'll tell it really quickly. We had this office, one of my last jobs, and there was like 5 of us in this office. But at one point, it was just me and another coworker. We were all by ourselves. And I was eating chips and I started to choke on a chip because, you know, like they're sharp and they get stuck. Mm-hmm. And I just turned to my coworker and he could see the panic in my eyes. Like I was literally like turned him and I was like I was choking, and I kind of started to put my hands to my neck, that like international sign of like I'm choking. Yeah. And I kid you not, he looks me dead in the eyes and goes, I don't know how to do the Heimlich. Oh no. I just started.
What you need to hear? You're like, I'm going to die.
I was like, I'm going to die. And luckily it had passed and I was fine. And so we made fun of him about that for so long. But his excuse, and I'll tell his side of the story because if he ever hears this, he's going to be like so mad. He was like, I could see in your face that you weren't choking anymore. That's why I said it.
Okay.
Like, how would you know? Because I was still choking when you said.
Oh my god!
Like the most comforting thing you could say.
Please help me! I'm gonna die. He's like, I'm sorry, you're on your own.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know how to do the Heimlich.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
So everybody learn.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we should all know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Moving on.
We're very chatty today. This is going to be
We
a
are.
weird episode. Okay, so the Winnipeg Paranormal Group, I guess, likes to go and do investigations. And pretty much every time that they've gone, there's been something that happened, like ghosty-wise, at the house. So Mary Inkster, who was like the original owner, like her and her husband, she, I guess, frequently suffered from migraines and nausea, and she had a bedroom upstairs where she would rest when she was unwell. Some of the staff at Seven Oaks House now report feeling some of those same symptoms when they enter Mary's old bedroom.
I wonder if that's like the whole what is it? Not is it EVP? There was like a whole thing a little while ago. Yeah, that's the electric voice phenomenon or whatever. There was something about there's like these like electric vibes in the air that like can be caused by power sources or whatever that make people feel like anxious, uneasy, nauseous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old house, so I don't think there'd be like electricity in it. Maybe there is now, but
I think there is now. Yeah.
I wonder about stuff like that because I know some of that stuff's been like not debunked, but like kind of explained away that way.
Yeah. Maybe it definitely could be. There's also reports of fog seeping into the dining room from under the door.
Oh, that's creepy.
Like while they're like trying to reach out to the spirit world. So that, I mean, you're already spooked. You're like looking for stuff. So that would just not be very fun to see. And then the last one is actually from a former staff member that worked there. It was on like some random forum that I found. And also it was like, I saw a YouTube video that she like covered like a bunch of like haunted places in Canada, and this is one of them. And she's like, I don't know how I found this, but I found this, and I ended up also finding it. So that was great. So this is a quote from the website that I found it on. So I worked at Seven Oaks Museum for 3 summers as a tour guide. During that time, myself and coworkers would experience many types of phenomena. Also, I love that word. We would hear someone walking up and down the stairs on the 2nd floor, even though we were all in the hall. We would also hear taps being turned on and dinnerware being moved around. Occasionally, we would hear someone walking or running along the porch, even if no one was around. I have also seen the grandmother clock. What's a grandmother clock?
I know what a
grandfather.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe that's what they call it in Manitoba because they're weird. Yeah. I've also seen the grandmother clock wind itself and the door open by itself from a locked position. I have also witnessed a sewing machine being used and multiple blinds being pulled back open after they were closed. Often the toys in the child's room would be strewn about after we had arranged them in a certain way or blocks knocked over. The Inkster family owned the house in the late 1800s to early 1900s, so I think someone from the family could be responsible for the events. Also, the Battle of Seven Oaks took place on the grounds, so it could be a cause of the phenomena as well. So that's pretty much all I could find. Okay. Did you find a grandmother clock?
Yeah. So no one probably cares, but I'm curious.
I do.
Grandfather clocks are the tallest of the 3 styles. So there's 3 of like the long case clock, generally agreed to be measured at 6 feet 3 inches in height. The grandfather's clock case features like a pendulum, and a grandmother clock is is shorter than a grandfather clock. So it generally measures at, let's say, the same height, 6 feet 3 inches. What? This article. Anyways, I think it's just supposed to be shorter.
Just shorter grandfather clock.
And then there's also granddaughter clocks, which is 3 feet 5 inches. So it's even smaller.
Weird.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. The more you know.
Oh, sorry. And the grandmother clock is slimmer.
Oh, okay. How sexist.
Yeah. Exactly.
The stories are really hard to come by online, which is like pretty standard. But this one is because the museum actually offers a haunted walk tour, which is really cute. And I would love to do that.
I want to do them all.
I know. So I wrote, so if you're in Manitoba, which we know you aren't, feel free to check it out.
Sorry, Manitoba.
Anyway, that's the Seven Oaks House Museum.
Yeah, I had the same issue with my trying to research for my stories. Like, there was one I really wanted to cover, and it was like this house, and I found a bunch of like information on Reddit, and it was like just mostly a lot of like local urban legends. Like, it was a lot of people being like, I grew up around this house and these are the stories, and there wasn't like a lot of fact to it, so I didn't bother. But
what was the house called? Was it the D one, the Dowell something?
No, it wasn't even on any list of anything. It was it's
Also-
the Barber House on
Oh, okay.
99 Elucid Avenue. I hope I'm
Okay.
saying that right. It was like one of the old houses in Manitoba, and then there was supposed to be this like crazy murder that happened, but like everyone was like, "There's no evidence of this murder happening." And blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah. I think
It
I
was
saw
just kinda
something about
cool.
that when I was doing
Yeah.
research. Also, like all of my ads and stuff now are for Manitoba. And I'm like, oh.
oh, we've moved on from the
Wasted
Yukon
your
now.
money there.
Yeah. Why are they even advertising for like travel right now?
I don't know. Oh my God.
Like,
I
have you
don't get
seen
it.
Canada's been put on like the no travel list for like the CDC? They're like, it's too dangerous to go to. Like, what?
It's so embarrassing.
Mhm.
Like I remember like a few months ago, we were just like, oh my God, look at America. Like
I
what the
know.
fuck? They're doing
No,
so
we have
bad.
egg on our face.
And now we're like, sorry.
pulls tie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, fun fact: I actually lived in Manitoba, like I mentioned, for about a year as a kid. I was in grade 2, so long time ago. But I have a surprising amount of memories. And I lived in this like podunk town called St. Adolphe. So, what up, St.
Shout
Adolphe, if you're
out.
listening? Yeah. Sorry, I called you podunk, but literally it was so small that one school was K to 12.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And like it was one of those small towns that like if the buses couldn't run because there was too much snow, you would take your like snowmobile to school.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm gonna be one of those grandparents where it's like, back in my day, we didn't miss school. We didn't have snow days. And we lived on a farm that like grew our own food, and we ate mostly like hunted meat because my dad was a butcher. So like he would like cut up a lot of meat for locals, and then they'd give him some.
Right.
And like I have one vivid memory of that, living there, of like coming home from school and going to the bathroom only to find a skinned deer carcass in the tub bleeding out.
God.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that story already,
I
but
think you may have.
I
but
think I
every
might have.
time I hear it. Just
yeah.
disgusting.
So for any of my future therapists, I'm gonna guess that was the exact moment where the trauma started. Just like I feel like I can pinpoint it to there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Manitoba. I feel like I'm allowed to shit on you because I lived there.
Yeah. No, you have valid reasons. I don't.
Yeah. I'll give you a pass, you know.
Thank you. Association.
Yeah, exactly. So my story comes from Winnipeg, at the Fort Garry Hotel.
Ooh.
So the Fort Garry Hotel was built between 1911 and 1913 for the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway, which is now like CN, got bought up or whatever.
Mhm.
It was built just a block away from the railway station to be considered like a luxurious accommodation for travelers. And luxurious it was. At the time, it was the tallest building in all of Winnipeg with a whopping 10 floors.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Big spenders.
You could see real far out.
could see 3 blocks.
Yeah. And it had 246 rooms, and each room had its own private bathroom.
Wow.
Which, like, isn't that wild to think that at one point that was a luxury? Like,
yeah,
having your own
that's
private
crazy.
bathroom.
That's
I mean, it
crazy.
is, because back when I was like 20 and I did the backpacking thing, and we stayed in like hostels, you never had your own private bathroom. So when you did, it was like, oh my God. So of course, like any place, the Fort Garry Hotel boasts to be one of the most haunted places in all of Canada. I feel like no matter what story I read, they all say
It's
that.
always the most haunted place.
Yeah. Its most famous story is that of the room 202. It was said that a newlywed couple haunts that room because of their tragic honeymoon story. Now, I don't know. I'm embellishing a bit. I don't actually know if it was their honeymoon. I'm going to assume it was because everyone referred to them as newlyweds. But
Yeah.
like, who also honeymoons in Manitoba?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. Maybe it was up and coming in the 1920s.
Maybe. We don't know.
Yeah. So in the 1920s, it said that the young bride was feeling ill and her husband decided to go fetch her some headache pills. Which, like, did that exist in 1920 or was it just like cocaine?
I don't know.
Yeah. You know how that shit was a cure-all back then anyways. It was like even the pop and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So while he was out fetching her medication, he was tragically struck and killed by a horse-drawn cart. And like, I'm sorry, I know I've made like 6 jokes about this couple, but like, how do you get hit by a horse-drawn buggy? How fast are they
how
going?
do you not hear that coming? Was
And,
he
like,
deaf?
How fast you can't go that fast in those things. Yeah. Anyways, upon hearing of the death of her new husband and feeling the guilt and being overcome with grief, she committed suicide by hanging herself in the closet with her bed sheets.
Oh,
Super tragic, right?
yeah.
I don't blame her at all. Probably do the same.
Mhm.
So people who stay in that room or staff who enter that room report seeing like really wild things. Some of them like are like Shining level, like wild.
Yikes.
Staff have apparently reported seeing blood dripping down the walls or blood that has stained the walls after it's like dripped down.
Oh my God.
That is like straight out of The Shining, I swear.
Yeah.
They've also seen bloody footprints on the bed, and sometimes like the window will just be straight up shattered, not on the floor.
Oh.
That sounds like a nightmare, honestly.
I mean, the
Commonly-
window being shattered could be like, wait, no, it's on 10th floor.
No, it's room 202, so it's like second floor.
Could have just been little hoodlums.
But like always the same. Yeah, it's true. Oh,
Maybe it's just like one big joke.
or it's like one guy who's just throwing rocks every 2 weeks. Commonly, people report footsteps being heard around the bed at night. And the creepiest of all, sometimes they're wet sounding. Like they've come out of the bathroom.
Oh.
Yeah. Like they're wet, watery footsteps coming from the bathroom and then will like lead around the bed. And then they go into the closet.
Oh my God.
And then once the footsteps are like led to the closet, they'll hear like the wire hangers in the closet being like shifted around.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
I feel like that's her like residual haunting of like her committing her suicide, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And speaking of the closet, apparently the light inside likes to turn on by itself and the doors like to open. Just randomly.
My God. Can you imagine being at a hotel?
No. Oh, and sometimes the TV will turn like on and off by itself as well, too. People often claim they see a young woman standing at the end of their bed watching them, or will sit down or get into bed with them.
Oh my God.
one of the ones was like this old Ontario, I think like an old Ontario premier. Sounds like a movie premiere. Yeah. She claimed that one night she thought it was like her husband getting in bed with her, but it like wasn't. She just kept feeling like the feeling that someone was getting in bed beside her. It was creeping her out.
Nope.
And so not all of this happens in room 202. That's just like the main focus of it. People will report hearing like silverware rattling in the cabinets all around the hotel and like the sounds of scratching coming from inside drawers.
Oh God.
Could you imagine?
No.
And then the creepiest of all is people will hear disembodied sobbing. A lot of it coming from room 202, but apparently it happens in the hotel lounge as well. And then usually people will see like a woman and she's like crying in the corner and sometimes she'll ask for water. And then when they bring water back, like she's gone or whatever, which is sad and scary.
Yeah. So
I was looking for more personal stories from people. And this one is like dark, but it made me chuckle. And not because of the story, but because of the circumstance. So there was a young boy who used his Make-A-Wish wish to stay at the hotel to ghost hunt.
Oh.
And if that's not like the most wholesomely dark thing. He was a baby ghost hunter.
That's so cute.
Like he could have went to Disneyland.
I know.
Like, no, I want to go to Manitoba.
I went to Winnipeg.
So the whole time that they were there, he took several photos of their whole trip on like didn't say what year this was, but I don't know if it was like old enough or if he just used like a film camera. Mm-hmm. And later on when they went to get them developed, all of the photos of their trip turned out fine, except for all of the ones in and around 202. Ooh. So the boy was like super thrilled because he kind of like proved it to him. And his excuse was that like, oh, the spirits were just shy. They didn't want to be caught on camera. So isn't that the cutest and saddest story you've ever heard? Like, I hope he didn't die.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, where is he now?
Yeah. From another article from one of the sources that you can find on the social, from the Utopia one. This story, the writer actually got emailed to them from like a former hotel staff member. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to read it verbatim. Yesterday, I was working a 5 a.m. shift, and when I walked into the staff washroom, I instantly felt chills. When I turned around the corner, there was a skirt laying on the floor, and suddenly a small access panel about 1.5 feet half from the floor opened. All day from then on, I felt a weight on my back as if I was giving someone a piggyback ride. I felt this weight all day until my shift was over. I went back to the washroom and said, "You can get off now." At that second, she left me and I felt so much lighter. I've never given so much thought to ghost things, but I couldn't shake how real this felt.
Weird.
So spooky. I'm surprised he waited to the end of his shift. I was like,
just
no.
go back.
Yeah, I don't need this.
Off.
I'm tired.
I just want to live my life.
Yeah. Work is hard enough.
It's a good thing it didn't happen to us. We'd just be bitching about it all day.
Like, oh my God. It's like, are you going to give me a massage later? What's happening? Yeah. Another ghost people claim to see is that of a woman in a dressing gown or a ball gown. I'm not too sure which because different sources said different things.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, a dressing gown is like a nightie and a ball gown is fancy. So maybe it's two different ghosts.
Yeah.
But she's often seen roaming the hallways, and then she'll just kind of like vanish behind corners with a door being opened or closed, which is kind of spooky. Could you imagine, like, you know how hotel hallways are, and then there's always like a corner you turn, and then you see someone turn the corner and you go and you turn it too, and they're like, where the fuck did they go?
Yeah. Yeah. No thanks.
So naturally, my next step is I went to TripAdvisor to see if anyone had left any like reviews on the hotel and their experience. And I found this one from a user whose username was MMS11 from Cincinnati, Ohio. They rated this, so they gave the hotel a 5-star rating. So this is their review. TripAdvisor wasn't around at the time of my stay, but I felt it was time to document my experience here. I was traveling for business and stayed here for 5 days. My first night in room 202 was disturbed by what sounded like a music or a clock radio next door at 2:56 a.m. You know how 3 a.m. is the witching hour.
Mm-hmm.
The next night it happened again at the exact same time, but I also heard weird noises from the closet, like someone struggling with my hanging bags. It never occurred to me that the room was haunted at the time. I never heard of the stories, and this was in 2001. Google wasn't exactly around. I went to work that day, tired, and my clients asked where I was staying. When I told them, they all had an awkward look on their face. "We know why you weren't sleeping well. That place is haunted." I was so focused on my deadlines and work that week that I brushed it off and didn't care. All I wanted was sleep. The third night, everything happened all over again at the same time. I peeked one eye open to see the clock, and it said 2:56 a.m. The music, the closet, it was all finally getting to me. I squeezed my eyes shut and I said out loud, "Please stop. I just need sleep." And then the scariest moment of my life, my bed moved. My blankets tightened over me, and I felt a weight/body on top of me. I stayed there for about a minute. I was terrified and pled with my eyes closed. "Please just go away. Go away." And it did. I changed rooms next day for my last 2 nights. Why the excellent rating? It was an experience like no other, and I don't think it was the hotel's fault that it's haunted. The staff moved me without any questions or hesitations, and I've been telling the story for years, and I thought it was time to document it here.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
He still gave him a 5-star.
What a nice guy.
Well, he's so nice. I mean, he's right. It's not the hotel's fault.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Yikes.
those are all the stories from the Fort Garry Hotel. Like,
That's
super
crazy.
creepy. The blood on the walls is what, like, that's what did it for me.
Yeah. That's straight
Like,
out of The
legit.
Shining.
Yeah. Horror movie.
I used to I remember falling asleep when I was a kid and thinking that my bed moved, but it was probably just a dream. But it used to happen all the time to me. It used to scare the crap out of me.
I don't know if Michael does this, but Jeff does this. I feel like I've seen TikToks or other people talk about it, but men twitch in their sleep.
Michael doesn't.
No.
Well, sometimes he does. Sometimes he falls asleep, and I love you. I know you're listening to this, Michael, but sometimes you fall asleep with his legs up, he's
Oh my
flat,
God,
but
yeah.
his legs are bent
Jeff
like
seems
that.
like that too. I don't know how.
But then one of his legs will stay up, but it's usually the leg closest to me will start to fall like that, and then he'll twitch it back up. Then he'll fall again, and he'll twitch it back
Oh,
up.
that's
So I'm just
annoying.
laying there, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't sleep. So I told him that one time, and he's like, just kick my leg. If I wake up, who cares? I'll fall back asleep. If I
Yeah.
don't wake up, then great, you'll be able to fall asleep. So I was like, okay. So one time I kicked it and it worked fine. And he hasn't done it for a while, but I'm like, oh my God. Or sometimes if both of his legs are up, he'll his heel will just start to kind of slide down the bed,
Yeah.
or little things at once. So it was like the whole bed just like, oh my god,
jerks.
it's
Yeah,
so annoying.
Jeff like full on twitches like so, and it's not so bad with our new mattress because it's kind of like one of those ones where it's like you could bowl on one side and the other person can sleep or whatever the fucking commercial is. But yeah, like in our previous like old bed, yeah, he would like jerk in his sleep and it would scare the shit out of me for like the first like 3 years of our relationship because it was like I didn't know what was happening. I was like, are you having a seizure? Like what's happening?
Yeah, it's scary when you don't know what's happening. It's like, okay, why is the whole bed shaking?
Yeah.
And usually by the time you wake up too, like they have stopped. So it's like, what?
Yeah.
What happened?
He also talks in his sleep sometimes, which is my favorite thing because they never make like my favorite one was a couple months ago. I woke up in the middle of the night and he was like, and this is what he said, he wasn't even sweaty. Like, what does it mean? He wasn't even sweaty.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Most of the times they don't make sense. It's like blah, 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 blah. But when they're like sentences, I always write them down because I love it.
That's hilarious. Michael I don't think he talks in his sleep. I'm usually dead to the world, so I don't know.
Yeah, usually, but
I know his daughter sleepwalks sometimes. She hasn't done it in a while.
The creepiest.
She hasn't done it in a while. Since we moved, she hasn't done it at all. But her bedroom was in the basement at our not the basement. It was like ground floor, but we were upstairs at our old house, and she's just like walk up the stairs, sleepwalking, and she's standing there. She's just be like, I need to sometimes and Michael will be like, okay, let's go back to bed. Like walk her back downstairs.
Oh
that
man,
happened so many times. And one time we were getting ready. We woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. We were going to Sault Ste. Marie, so we were like going to drive. So we woke up really early. She was still asleep downstairs. We were just like getting last minute stuff together. And then I turned around and she's standing right there, right behind me.
Oh my god, I would have jumped.
And she started talking about something. I won't say it because it'll be embarrassing if she ever hears this. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but you just scared the absolute shit out of me. Like, oh my god, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, pitch black outside, and then there's this kid like right behind me. Yeah.
Did you ever do that thing when you were a kid? Like, I know when I was a kid, and if I felt sick or had a bad dream, I would go and I would walk into my parents' room, pitch black. I would just stand beside the bed and just stare at my mom. I wouldn't even wake her up, and she'd wake up somehow because moms have this sixth sense.
You can
tell,
just be like
staring
at you. Yeah, I did that all the time.
I feel like it's a universal kid thing. Like, fuck. You just shake me awake. Don't just stare. It's creepy.
I used to I had a terrible time sleeping when I was a kid. Like until I was like 10, I had to like go wake my mom up all the time because I was terrified. Yeah. And I used to go at one of our houses. My bedroom was at one side of the end of the hall. My parents' was at the other. And I would go and I wouldn't look down the hall. I would like cover my eyes and I would jump.
I was scared of everything.
Yeah. And then I would go into my parents' room. I'd walk around because my mom slept on the other side of the bed. And I'd stand there and I'd wait for her.
And then sometimes
she would go, yeah, she would like jump awake and that would scare me. And then she's just like, okay. But it got to the point where like I was doing it so often, my mom just like heard the door open. She's like, let's go. We're going to your room. Don't even wake up your dad. But yeah, sorry, mom.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's a universal kid thing because that's hilarious. Oh, I'm not looking forward to that. Just like possessed looking kid looking, and then they wake up and you're just like, I flew up. Yeah. They're just like, fuck.
Oh my god, kids are the worst, but also I love them.
One quick other funny story about that is one time I was staying with my grandma and I was really sick. I think I had the flu, so I was sleeping in bed with her so she could keep an eye on me. I was really young, and I woke up in the middle of the night, threw up, but I felt like scared and guilty and whatever, so I just took a pillow and put it on top of the throat, and then I went back to bed. And then in the morning my grandma woke up and she was just like, oh what happened? It got really mad. She's like, wake me up next time. I was like, I was scared.
Oh, kids
are the worst.
They really are.
Can't wait.
Also, they're the best.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so good. Okay, let's switch things up a little bit. Okay.
Back to ghosts.
Okay, so the next story I'm doing is the former Vaughan Street jail. So I know that we're doing the sources in the show notes, but I just wanted to say I got almost all of my information on the history from this one website. It's by the Manitoba Historical Society. like it was incredible. I basically just copied and pasted everything because I couldn't have written it better. So
Yeah.
just gonna say that. There were obviously other sources too, but I just wanted to give them a special little shout out. The Vaughan Street Jail was constructed in 1881. And it's located in Winnipeg, just like basically everything else I think we're talking about.
Yeah. Is there anything else in Manitoba?
Honestly couldn't tell you.
No.
So it's located right by Memorial Provincial Park, which probably doesn't mean anything to you, which is fine.
Nope.
So it's formerly known as the Eastern, I can never say this word, judicial?
Now every time, because I know how to say that word. Judicial.
Okay, yeah.
That
word?
Fuck.
District jail.
Judicial.
I literally have never been able to say that word in my life. So the intention for this jail was to be different from other jails. It's not like a regular jail.
It's not like other jail.
So Walter Cheston was the architect that built the new jail, or like designed the new jail. He wanted to create an attractive building that avoided the bleak, heavy designs of traditional prison architecture. So the goal was,
that's what people care about.
Yeah, that's what they
jail
care
looking
about.
good.
Yeah. But I mean, this jail is gorgeous. Obviously, we'll put pictures on Instagram, just like everything else. So the goal was to design a building that would deliver the ominous message to potential criminals that prison life was not to be desired without resorting to a somber appearance. So
wait, so did they want it to look good or look bad?
he wanted it to look scary for prisoners, but also nice.
I feel like there's mixed messages.
Yeah. So he ended up like styling it after churches of the Italian Renaissance.
Ooh,
so
okay,
it's
so super like
beautiful.
Gothic looking.
Yeah, it's so nice. I want my house. Like if I could make that my house and it wasn't haunted, that would be my house. Also, I would need millions of dollars because it's huge.
Oh yeah.
So the jail's interior the jail's interior was divided into 4 sections. So the east and west wings, obviously, and then the 2 smaller north and south wings. The east wing was partially used to hold criminals of the lighter stripe, which is what it says. So just like petty crimes, I guess.
I would hope.
So there were 7 cells on the ground floor with a turnkeys room, bathrooms, and a mess ward. The second floor was where there was a workroom. There were 7 women's wards, which were each 5 feet by 10 feet, a matron's room, a nurse's room, bathrooms, and a storage room. The attic was used as living quarters for turnkeys and guards, which is terrifying. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And then the south wing had laundry, and then the basement was kitchen, pantry, and a lift on the ground level. The second floor, the hospital ward.
Probably the most haunted, because I swear those hospital places are the most haunted.
Yeah, exactly. Haunted and like people in jail. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And then the attic was served as a dormitory. So the west wing had the strongest cells, I guess. And it was also the heart of the jail. So only male offenders who were convicted with like really serious crimes like robbery, rape, and murder were housed in the west wing. Also, West Wing, isn't it a show?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I don't watch it, but I'm like, like the show.
Yeah. So solitary confinement cells were in the basement, were for the offenders who did not abide by prison rules. Constructed out of stout planking made of oak. It was bound with steel rods. The cell walls were incredibly dense, and there were no windows, obviously, or other means of natural light. No light fixtures, and no sleeping cot. So that's great.
Oh.
Yeah, just like literally walls.
Really, I really don't believe in like that whole solitary confinement thing. I don't think that's right. No matter how bad you are.
No, it's horrible.
Yeah.
The prison was used as a makeshift insane asylum until the Selkirk Insane Asylum was opened in 1886. And then the inmates that were deemed insane were transferred there soon after. So after that, the jail operated just like normal until another jail opened up on the Vaughan Street Jail, became a detention center for youth. And then finally in 1984, it closed its doors, and it's remained that way ever since.
Wow, it was open until the 80s. Crazy.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Imagine staying in that. Nope.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, I guess the Ottawa jail's a hostel now, so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay, so as far as the ghosties that are there, So I had never heard of this guy, but like right before we started this, we started talking about him. But Earle Leonard Nelson stayed there. He was also known as the Gorilla Man, the Gorilla Killer, and the Dark Strangler.
I've never heard of him either, but I'm curious.
Yeah. So he was a prisoner at the jail for about a year. He was an American psycho. Well, yeah,
probably
serial killer, rapist, and a necrophile.
Oh, so yeah, psycho.
Yeah. He was the first known American serial sex murderer of the 20th century, which is what a title to hold. Good for him. He was the 13th and final prisoner to be executed at the jail, and he was hanged on Friday, January 13th. Lots of 13s with this guy. 1928, after walking 13 steps to the gallows. So spooky.
Oh, God.
So stories say that he can still be seen floating eerily as if he's swinging from the ghostly gallows at the jail.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah. Creepy. Another story. This was actually like an interview that I saw on like a random YouTube video. But this lady, she was like visiting the jail. She was outside. And on the south side of the building, she saw a woman walk by on the second floor wearing like period clothing. Like it was like corset, like all that stuff.
Okay.
And she said that she only saw like her top half. Like it was like from her waist up going across the window. And then she asked the security guard about it. And he said that he was the only one at the jail. He was the only one with the key. And like, there's no way that she would have seen anybody there. So she ended up like going up there. I don't know how she got up there. Maybe she just asked the guy or like worked there.
Why?
I have no idea. So she went up there and she went to the same window that she saw the lady in. And the window like went all the way up to her chest. So there's no way that she would have seen like the entire upper half of a lady unless she was like floating or
crazy,
like really tall.
Yeah, we were talking about the lady. She's like 4'2".
Yeah,
she's like, there's no way anyone else.
She's like holding on.
Yeah.
So I guess like a lot of other people have also seen like a woman in like period costumes walking by on the second floor. So must be a ghost. Must be
clearly.
Real. And then there's also a lot of activity in the areas where the criminals used to live. So one area on the top floor is believed to be the most haunted. And I guess there's an inmate who committed suicide that haunts it there. You know what I mean? That's a really bad sentence. So objects have been known to move on their own, and people have claimed that they've been touched by unseen hands in this part of the building. So it's never,
it's always like, no, that's always the creepiest things when people feel like they've been touched. Like, you don't have my consent.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the Vaughan Street Jail.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like all jails would be haunted because of just, especially from old times, old-timey.
Yeah, like closed down jails now.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Conditions like that. No. Gross.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am doing the Marlborough Hotel. I almost said jail. So it's another haunted hotel. And I feel like there's a trend with our episodes. Apparently only hotels can be haunted.
Hotels and jails.
Right? I feel like we're in this midst of like a tourism hotel conspiracy. Like, are they drumming up these stories to bring in people? Or are they like just like saying that it's haunted to like blame like thin, crappy walls? Like, you
Maybe.
know? Anyways, the Marlborough Hotel. It was originally called the Olympia Hotel when it was built in 1914, not too long after the Fort Garry Hotel. And they're actually just down the street from each other. It's like a 15-minute walk.
Okay.
So it's like a spooky zone.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, it was only 2 floors, and it boasted such special features as a steam vacuum system in every room, a fully automated sprinkler system, and a fresh air supply and exhaust system. I love this. Like that. These just seem like, of course. So
did they mean like windows? Fresh air supply?
I know. I think like ventilation system probably didn't exist until then. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it said a fresh air supply and exhaust system. So I'm assuming it's like vents. I don't know. But by 1915, due to World War I, the hotel ended up closing and becoming like barracks for soldiers before they got shipped off to war.
Okay.
In 1919, after the war was over, the hotel reopened and they announced a 6-story addition. Like it was like a $400,000 which doesn't sound like a lot of money, but back then I'm assuming
Yeah.
in today's dollars, it was probably like 4 million.
Yeah.
So then in 1923, the hotel was then purchased by a group of Winnipeg businessmen, and then it was renamed to the Marlborough after Britain's first Duke of Marlborough. Sounds like a tongue twister. And like this whole time, I just keep thinking of like the cigarette brand.
Yeah, me too.
Even though it's spelt differently. The hotel had a fairly uneventful history other than like being the host to people like Charlie Chaplin and Winston Churchill. Like
All
a lot
these
of big
people
names.
went to Winnipeg.
Right. That's what I'm like, why? Apparently, in one article I did read that it was kind of considered like the Chicago of Canada. Like that's what it's kind of like becoming. It didn't. Well, I don't know. It's the murder capital of Canada. So, but in 1943, a woman was brutally murdered in one of the rooms, and it was thought that she's the one of the ghosts that haunts the hotel.
Okay.
First, though, I'm going to talk about another ghost that is said to haunt the hotel. At one point, the very top floor of the hotel belonged to a very wealthy widow. She was an accomplished musician who had a grand piano that she would play daily. Staff and guests of the hotel would often come up to her floor just to hear her play. She'd put on like little concerts. It was cute. Since her death, her suite was renovated into like meeting rooms instead. So there's no actual hotel rooms on the top floor. I think it's all just like conference rooms and stuff.
Okay.
But it said that the guests and employees like have claimed to hear a piano playing. Sometimes like on that floor or like in the rooms on the floor below, people can hear piano music playing from above. However, the hotel hasn't had a piano on site in over 3 decades. But I mean, this could be like music coming from a radio, but
yeah,
who knows? So on to now Grace Edith Cook. So I don't know if Edith was her middle name or if that was like a chosen name, but I'll refer to her as Edith from now on.
Okay.
The poor 16-year-old girl who was brutally murdered in 1943. Edith had met a man named Albert Victor Westgate, who I'm sure, unbeknownst to her, had just been released from prison for murder. Albert was 42 and infatuated with Grace, who was only 16. Gross.
Ooh.
Gross. Even for back then, gross.
Yeah.
He apparently bought her a gold watch and promised her a job in Vancouver to lure her in. Ooh. I mean, that would lure me in now.
Yeah.
They were to leave for Vancouver on December 5th. However, like I mentioned previously, Albert had just been released from prison and wasn't allowed to leave Winnipeg, let alone he had no money and no prospects of this job he promised Edith. And it obviously didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
He had used credit to buy her the watch and like other fancy things, I guess, to like show her he had money.
Mm-hmm.
He decided that she should stay at the Marlborough Hotel for a few days before they left, rather than like staying with her. In one article I read that she was like not a runaway, but had like dropped out of school and like moved away from her family to like start her life, I guess.
Okay.
That's what you do at 16.
It's not what I did at 16.
Right?
Hanging on for dear life.
Mm-hmm. I was like, Mom, can I live here forever?
Yeah.
My guess was that he could control her, like knew where she was and have her stay at this hotel so that no one could like talk sense into her.
Right.
They checked into the room on December 2nd. Of course, after a few days of not hearing from her daughter, Edith's parents asked Albert to come with them to check on her. And when arriving to the room, they had smelled a really weird smell coming from her room.
Oh,
When the hotel clerk opened the door, they found Edith's body laying on the bed with covers wrapped around her neck and her head. She had been strangled. It's assumed that Albert no longer could keep up with his lies that he had told her and promised her, and he had murdered her. He was caught, apparently, because like the next day after he murdered her, he had tried to return the watch and like a pair of her shoes to like get his money back.
my God.
And so then he was executed for his crime like a year later. Super quick justice.
Mm-hmm.
People say they hear a woman crying in the rooms that are supposed to be empty, and when staff goes in to investigate, they find nothing. It's said she's most often seen by other young women, usually standing at the end of their bed or just like lingering in their room. And it's kind of believed that like she'll appear to young women to like warn them that they might be in danger. And so like if you see her, if you're a young woman and you see her, it's kind of supposed to be like an omen that you're supposed to be more careful with who you're socializing with. Like she's trying to be like, someone in your life's not good for you.
Oh, wow.
which is crazy. Which I don't know, like, where would they get that from? Who knows? But
Yeah.
that's what one article said. So the room which she was murdered in, which was 503, is actually no longer a room anymore. It's actually been renovated, and part of the room is like in part of a bathroom now.
Okay.
So a lot of people claim to see a young woman rushing into the bathroom dressed in like older period clothes. And then when they go in to investigate, because she's like looks upset, there's like nobody there.
If you saw a young woman rushing into your bathroom in your hotel.
No, I think it's like a public bathroom.
Oh, okay. I was like, I wouldn't go after her.
Yeah.
No. Be out of the room.
Like, get out. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So that one's just a really short story about that hotel. That's all that there really is.
Right.
But I mean, two very tragic stories in hotels in Manitoba, which is,
yeah,
I feel like it's a omen. Maybe don't stay in a hotel in Manitoba.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to comment any further on.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was our Manitoba ghosts. I think next week we're talking true crime, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I don't. You keep track of it a lot better than I do. So.
I know.
It's always a surprise to me.
I always look forward to the ghost ones and the most, so I get excited when I'm like, "Oh, it's ghost time!" But
yeah,
it's true crime time, which I still also enjoy.
Still good.
Yeah. So we'll just live our best lockdown life.
Yeah, love it.
Mm-hmm.
Manitoba's looking better and better.
Sorry for all the shit talk, Manitoba, but I think you understand.
It's okay. They won't hear it.
Yeah.
There's nobody there.
It's just fields.
Yeah. Fields, that alien thing I did one time, and now these ghosts.
Oh, yeah. The aliens took them all. That's what happened.
Yeah, maybe. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Mystery solved.
Yep.
We'll solve any crime by dinner time.
That's our motto. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. If you want to follow us, we're on Instagram at Locked in a Closet Pod, Twitter at LIAC Pod, and on Facebook at Locked in a Closet Podcast.
Also, we'd love it if you would share your spooky stories with us. You can email us at lockedinaclosetpod@gmail.com, and we'll share them in a future episode.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Keep on creeping on.